I think that people are not aware of how much they not only benefit from that ethic, but also there's one Father and we're all brothers and sisters. What does that mean? Monotheism says,
and that they created an alternative Bible because they knew if they read the full Bible, that would incite
Ruslan.
Here's what I appreciate. What I appreciate most is when people who may not agree with a paradigm can acknowledge the benefits of a paradigm. I may not agree with a specific approach to financial literacy, or I may not agree with a specific meal plan. I may not even implement it myself, right? Like, I don't know, say you're paleo. I may not implement it myself, but I will acknowledge that there's value in that. Or I may not be a vegan, but I will say, oh, that's pretty cool that you gave up meat. My brother's a vegan. Very cool. I don't think he's going to last for his lifetime, but I go, that's cool. I acknowledge that. What I appreciate is when people who are not a part of a said community can acknowledge the benefit of said community. And there's no greater example of this than Bryan Callen's view on Christianity, okay? And he recently went on the George Janko podcast and had some really interesting things to say about religion, but more specifically Christianity. George Janko is a podcaster, primarily known working with Logan Paul, and being on his podcast. He since started his own podcast. And Bryan Callen, I know him from the Joe Rogan podcast, okay? So I've seen him on there a couple times. He's a comedian. So I want to play this clip for you because I found this so interesting that I had to share with you. So check this out.
Mock religion. I'm not even Christian. I'm not practicing, but let me defend it for a sec.
But by the way, he's not Christian. He had a tweet where he said, you could verify this. He said, I got into an argument with an atheist today, and he said, I'm not even religious, and the atheist was in my head. That's a pretty funny tweet. And so this is someone that's not a Christian, but he does find it odd when people mock it.
I have enormous respect for the Judeo-Christian ethic because, and any religion actually, the major religions. And the reason I do is let me just take Christianity as an example. I think that people are not aware of how much they not only benefit from that ethic, but also how much they believe in it without realizing it. So let me give you an example. You know, if you talk to most people, racism is a terrible thing, okay? Slavery, of course, is terrible. Do you know anybody who's pro-slavery? Anybody? You take for granted that, racism is bad. You take for granted that slavery is an evil. That argument had to be fought and won for most of history.
Yeah.
For most of history, all of that slavery, just taking somebody and putting them in bondage, was what you did because you could.
Oh. That's kind of crazy to think about, by the way, that throughout history, people would just take people because they could. And listen to what he goes on to say next.
It wasn't considered, there wasn't a whole lot of talk about it. And I remind people that the first people to outlaw slavery and enforce that law were the British, but that movement was spearheaded in the United States and in Britain by what you people would call right-wing Christians. Because the idea was everyone is of the same moral worth.
Yeah. Why
is it that in our judicial system, that all of us believe in, essentially, if I kill Bill Gates or I kill some wretch on the street, some guy who's, some drug addict who's just sitting there in a hump, and you didn't see them like they're lying there and I do the same amount of time. If I walk by and shoot him in the head, I go to jail for life for that.
Yeah.
Now, traditionally, you could say, but dude, that guy has no value, man. He's taking up space. He's using up resources. That guy just got rid of him. It's bbad meat. And you'd be like, and then they go, what's your status? And you go, oh, I'm a prince. I'm aristocracy. They go, you're good. You're a higher birth. But guess what? In this country, or in most of at least the modern world, you go to jail for a life. Whether I do it to him or I do it to Bill Gates. Why? Because our judicial system is predicated on the idea that because we're all, whether you believe it or not, there's one Father and we're all brothers and sisters. What does that mean? Monotheism says that essentially all of us are the children of that one God, meaning we're all brothers and sisters, meaning we're all of the same equal moral worth. Yeah. It's moral worth. And that means you as a human being are not in a position, no matter who you are, to judge what I'm worth. Even though I'm a wretch on the street, that's not for you to judge. And everyone agrees with that. I don't care if they're an atheist. I don't care if they're a Buddhist. Everyone in this country agrees with that. And that is a Christian idea.
I don't know if I've heard anyone define the Imago Dei like that, but that was fascinating. The fact that everybody's created in the image of God, therefore, that is why they have value and dignity and worth. Therefore, you can't own people and you can't just brutally attack and take people's lives. Everyone has worth and value. that the world is borrowing from God when we acknowledge this. Dom said, I mean, did he articulate this better than some Christians? It's brilliant the way he said all this, right? Now, some people get really triggered with the slavery thing, but I want to show you guys something. Hey, you want to see something crazy? 67% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed. Do me a quick favor, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date on all the videos here on the Blessed God Studios channel. Watch this. You guys know what this is? Anybody know what this is? This is, correct, the slave Bible from the 1800s, which omitted key passages that could incite rebellion. This is NPR, they had to print this, right? On display now at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. is a special exhibit centered on a rare Bible from the 1800s that was used by British missionaries to convert and educate slaves. What's notable about the Bible is not just its rarity, but its content, or rather, lack of content. It excludes any portion of text that might inspire rebellions or liberation. It's interesting, isn't it, that there was Christians or people operating in the name of Christianity that were wild with this idea of owning humans, and that they created an alternative Bible because they knew if they read the full Bible, that would incite rebellion. Isn't that interesting? So this notion that the Bible is pro-slavery is absolute hogwash. Because if that was the case, there would be no need for these distorted, confused, goofy Christians or Christians to take out sections, right? To take out sections so that they can use it to manipulate and control other people. Which means to me, I mean, the logical conclusion of this would be anyone who reads the Bible cover to cover is not going to walk away with a it's okay to own people approach. They're going to walk away with the opposite. Hence, that's why there's entire passages missing. Isn't that fascinating? But I think it's also telling because today we kind of do the same thing, don't we? Today, there are parts of the Bible that we're uncomfortable with. And in the same way, these really depraved missionaries took it and removed passages so that they don't have to deal with the implications of said passages, which is these slaves is going to rebel and see that they deserve freedom. We do the same thing. We'll read the scriptures, but we don't view all of it. We don't like all of it. I mean, like the whole like love your enemies as yourself part. Nah, I don't really like that part. The whole like flee from sexual immorality. Nah, I don't really like that part. They say Thomas Jefferson used to do the same thing. He'd kind of maneuver and cut out parts of the Bible that he didn't like. We do the same thing now. We'll take out parts, we'll omit parts, because we know that if we approach the inspired word of God and look at it as authoritative, which it is, we got some adjusting to do. We got some things we need to adjust to. Right? We got some things that we need to get in order, that we need to get more aligned with how God is moving. That when Jesus talks about follow me, when Jesus talks about the law is summed up in love your neighbor as yourself, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Who's my neighbor? Everyone. There's a lot of parts in here that we're uncomfortable with. There's a lot of parts in here where I gotta love everyone, even the people that disagree with me, even the people that vote totally different than I do. So we just omit parts that are inconvenient for our preferences. And it's sad. It's sad. I would encourage all you guys, don't come to God on your terms. Come to God on God's terms. Be okay with coming to God on God's terms. Because ultimately, God's ways are better than our ways. Ultimately, God's ways are going to be better for our flourishing and better for our life on this side of eternity than attempting to do things our way, because oftentimes we will make a mess of things, will we not? Hey, this clip is from our daily after party stream. If you enjoyed it, consider signing up for our Patreon community for only $5 a month, where you get access to the replays of our daily after party streams, as well as the uncut extended versions of our podcast, Discord access that's private, and a discount code for our merch store, only $5 a month. And ultimately, it's the best way to help us contextualize the gospel of Jesus using media, podcasting, and of course, YouTube. The link for that is in the description or in the pinned comment. The perks are amazing. You should get on there. It's only $5 a month. I'll see you over there, all right? Peace.